Hiya! Welcome! Got a big old haul from Bandcamp, more specifically Time Slave's Recordings, the great independent synthwave label based in Wales, United Kingdom. I say haul, it's actually 4 mini discs, and I've had them for probably about 4 months or more now. Or I think most of them, and one of them's probably a bit more recent than that. My original intention, video-wise, was to listen to the mini-discs and then do a bit of an audio showcase using my hi-fi. I've done that once or twice for mini-disc and CD-related videos, and I don't want to keep banging on about it, but with my declining sight, doing that to any acceptable level of competency would be difficult for me right now. So what I thought I'd do, because I've had these just sitting around, I've not even unsealed them, so I've not listened to these in full yet, rather than worry about doing a kind of audio showcase and playing you a bit from each on my mini disc in my hi-fi, I'll just quickly show you these 4 mini discs, and then we've got a mail opening of an LP to do at the end. That's going to be the main event. That's going to be much better for my eyes, because an LP is obviously a lot bigger than a mini disc. So the first one I'll show you, and hopefully these are going to come out alright. As you can see, it's still sealed, but this is Arcades by Iverson. So as I say, I got this and I think 1 or 2 others some months ago now, and I've not even listened to them yet. I have heard stuff off these, because when you purchase off Bandcamp you can try before you buy and just stream usually the whole album, or at least the vast majority of it. Iverson are a synthwave duo. I think they're from the UK. I could be mistaken there. I might have to look that up and check. And this is like a reissue of an earlier EP, I think it was actually. This might be an extended kind of thing. They might have put an extra couple of bonus tracks or remixes on it to make it more sort of album size, or a mini album size really. But this is Arcades. I've never owned any Iverson before I got this and the next one that I'm going to show you. But as I say, I listened to quite a bit of their stuff whenever it was last year, and really enjoyed it. And so I decided this one and the next one I'd get. So this is like a kind of mini disc limited edition reissue. Although I'm not going to unseal any of these today. You can see at the back of the clear case here some nice on MD printing there that Time Slaves and a lot of other indie labels who like to release stuff on minidisc do. These are really nice quality. I've sung the virtues of minidisc many a time on this channel, and I intend to keep doing so until more people get converted and realise just what an underrated format this really is. But that's Arcades by Iverson. Obviously I'm going to listen to these all at some point. I'm more concentrated on listening to whatever records that I get, because obviously when you get a record it's 12 by 12 inch. Unless it's a 7-inch record or a 10-inch one. But you know what I mean. Anyway, we stick with Iverson. This was another reissue that I think came out at the same time as Arcades. And I've got my iPad here as well, just so that I'm getting the names right of these albums. But this is another one that was reissued by Time Slaves in the Iverson back catalogue on MD. This is La Faviere. I did do French at school many years ago, but I may be butchering that. So La, L-A, and then Faviere, F-A-V-I-E-R-E. I think this is another one that was technically, when it originally came out, some years prior, was possibly like an extended EP or a mini album, and maybe it's been boosted up a little bit with some mixes or additional tracks. I'm not entirely sure. I do like the kind of almost a vaporwave style sleeve to this. I mean, synthwave always evokes that sort of 1980s aesthetic, and this particular record sleeve, not a record sleeve but an album sleeve I should say, there's some more printing on the MD itself. Hope these are coming across. I can't see a damn thing because of my ring light. Really happy to get into Iverson. I think they're a fantastic duo. That leads me on nicely to the 3rd Iverson album. So I've got 3 Iverson mini discs in my mini disc collection now, in my Synthwave collection, and this is their most recent album. This is a brand new album that was released in 2021, and this is called Houseplants. So this would have come out maybe a month or 2 after the reissues of Arcade and La Faviere. Kind of a minimalist design there on the sleeve. Once again, high quality printing by, it will be Band CDs most likely, who do the on mini disc printing, and they do that sort of thing for cassette releases by little indie labels, and obviously CDs as well. Obviously this one sealed as well. Not listened to this yet, but I have heard 1 or 2 tracks off it, because when it was announced on Time Slave's page on Bandcamp, you can basically stream it as much as you want anyway. But I like to own a physical copy, and I will get these listened to at some point this year. With MiniDisc being such a small format, I can't really appreciate it like I normally do at the moment, but I wanted to show you these because they've just been sat there waiting to be showcased in a video for ages. Last MiniDisc now. This one I think was a little more of a recent release than the previous 3 Iverson albums. And this is from a synthwave artist on the Time Slaves roster who I have been collecting as much as I can. I think I've got a couple of his albums on MD. One came out for MiniDisc Day in 2020. But I do really rate this synthwave artist. I think he's really kind of, you know, the elite tier really. He's the one that even more casual synthwave fans will have heard of. I'm talking about Time Cop 1983. And although I've not got his information up on my iPad here, I do know that this is his latest album, Faded Touch. It's a very dark album sleeve here that's pretty much impossible for me to see right now in any great detail. I do love Time Cop 1983, a solo artist. I think he's from the Netherlands, or is it Belgium? I always get it wrong. I've said them both now, so one's going to be right, one's going to be wrong. But Time Cop 1983, Faded Touch, new album. All this stuff, although I dare say the mini discs for all of these will have sold out on Bandcamp by now. All this stuff should still be available to stream, and there might even be like some cassette or even LP vinyl copies left depending on popularity at the time of release. But I like to pick up the mini discs in most cases, apart from the thing that I'm going to open with you, which didn't come out on MiniDisc, but I'm kind of glad it didn't, because this is a rather fancy edition of an album on vinyl record. So this has just come in the post this weekend. Let's get it open. It's another Time Slaves act. I do already own an LP by this artist as well, so this goes nicely with that. I believe this is a brand new release album rather than a reissue of an older one. I could be wrong. Whenever something interesting and something I want for the collection comes up on Bandcamp, I don't tend to worry about the fine details, whether it's a reissue or anything. As long as I don't already own it, then I want it. I've been quite well behaved really with Bandcamp purchases, because the Time Slaves, to the credit, they've released a lot of stuff over the last more than a year really. Certainly as long as while I've been following them on Bandcamp, and certainly the last few months or so, there's been a plethora of particularly vinyl releases, a few cassettes, even a few CDs as well. I think Time Cop 1983's entire back catalogue got reissued on special limited edition compact discs recently. So if you're still into CDs, then check those out, 'cause some of those might still be available. But the album that I want to show you today is another one by Ultra Boss. And this one is called, I can't remember what this one is called. It just says Ultra Boss on the front, I think. Really unusual cover. So we'll look on the back. It's been separated out actually. This is a new release, by the way. It's just not been cellophane sealed. Obviously Time Slaves recordings and the pressing facilities that they use, they're all kind of a little cottage industry. This isn't some big concern. But there is Ultra Boss. I think this might be called like Gravity or Gravitas or something. Ah, this might be a reissue, because I remember his previous album, it was on this Italian label originally, just as a digital download, and then Time Slaves reissued it physically under license. Oh, there we are, Gravitas. I couldn't see it, it was way down there. I mean, that's difficult to miss, but yeah, Gravitas. Really happy to get this. Ultra Boss, the first album of his I got was one called Slave to the Passion, and it was actually a sort of amalgamation of 2 extended EPs that he'd released, Slave to the Passion Volumes 1 and 2, and then this was like an LP issue containing both. So this, I think, is his most recent album. There again, he would have released it on probably his own label. I think he's Italian, this guy. Don't know his real name. Well, I would have known it, but I can't remember it. Marvellous stuff there. I like Ultra Boss because he's a synthwave artist, but he mixes in a lot of like really kind of 80s sounding rock guitar into things as well. I think his genre is classed as, or subgenre is classed as shredwave, which is basically synthwave, but it's got that sort of hair metal kind of vibe to it. But I want to show you the disc. Another thing I love about Time Slaves and other labels on Bandcamp as well, you know, it's not just them. There's probably millions of little record labels and artists of some form or another on there. Most of them will be only selling digitally because that's the easiest way to do it, but I do like to search for labels and artists who are actually selling physical stuff. And when it comes to a physical record, doesn't get much nicer than a black and gold spatter edition for Ultra Boss here. Oh, will you look at that? That is absolutely fantastic. I think the other Ultra Boss album in my collection, Slave to the Passion, and I did do an unboxing and a look at that in a previous video, but that might have been between 18 months to 2 years ago now. But it will be there in my music collecting playlist. I think that was a neon pink album, I think, or maybe purple. That seems to ring a bell anyway. I don't know, when you collect as many records and things as I do, then you start to lose track. But I'm really happy to have the new Ultra Boss album, or what I think is his latest album, or it may be a reissue of something older. It doesn't matter to me. Fantastic looking gold with black spatter LP here. I love coloured and patterned records. I say it every time, but I just can't help myself, especially when it's an artist that I have already started collecting. And I really enjoyed Ultra Boss's last album, or the album I got previous, Slave to the Passion 1 and 2. It seemed a no-brainer really to treat myself to Gravitas by Ultra Boss, and hopefully it's in a very similar vein where it's your 80s sounding synthwave, you know, that kind of Hollywood movie outrun style soundscape, but then Ultra Boss kicks it up a notch with some heavy metal or hair metal kind of guitars, really. Absolutely marvellous. So there we are, that was the main event for this video really. Gravitas by Ultra Boss on gold and black spatter vinyl. And I feel bad that I've not listened to them yet, although I have heard a lot of the tracks off these when I was initially buying these on Bandcamp. But the 4 mini discs, 3 from Iverson, great duo, check them out, and 1 from the legend of Synthwave himself, Time Cop 1983. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this look at one very recent and the other not quite so recent purchases from Time Slaves recordings over on Bandcamp. Special thanks go, as always, to my wonderful subscribers and generous, amazing patrons. Thank you all for your continuing support. Please see my referral links and my Patreon page and Facebook group page all down in the description text box. It might be below or it might be somewhere else on your screen, but it's easy to find unless you're watching YouTube on the TV, which I like to do, to be honest. But if I want to click a link in someone's description, then I will just go on the phone app or something like that. I'm going to go now. Probably going to listen to Ultra Boss first, as like I said earlier, I'm appreciating LPs and records at the moment in a aesthetic way, in a visual way, that I can't really appreciate tiny itty bitty mini discs at the moment. But I will listen to those at some point, and I can't wait to get stuck into Gravitas by Ultra Boss, and I do hope that all of you will join me again next time for my next synthwave related mini disc and record collecting video. Cheers everyone. See ya!